In this video, I'm going to answer the internet's burning questions about website design, basing this on my experience over the last 8 years building websites across 27 different industries, across 3 different continents around the world, and working with hundreds of businesses to get online quicker and skip the fails and get to the sales. So let's jump into it with the first question, which is, how much does it cost to build a website, including design and the build? This will vary drastically. So I have a video exactly on this, which is there's kind of 3 different levels to it. There's the first level, which is you do it yourself on a templated builder like Squarespace. In that sense, or in that case, it's probably going to cost you about, I would say, $25 a month in total to get your website, but you have to do a lot of work. The next level is when you do it on a more professional platform like WordPress and you use a premium theme. You have more freedom, but you have a lot more time invested in it. But as a trade-off, you're going to get a better result at the end with something that a professional could build off in the future. In that case, you might be looking at, say, $150 upfront costs and an ongoing with hosting and domain of $20 a month, but you also have that big time investment. The third option is to get someone to build it for you, which can be also broken down into a bunch of different categories. So the first one is a freelancer. You can get these as cheap as like $500, but there's a good chance if you do that, you're going to be looking at a lifetime of updates and fixes, and it's not going to be right. Very hard to get a good freelancer these days because there's just so much noise. The next level up from that is to get a small local agency that works with your size business. That can be corporate, that can be you've got 2,000 employees, but you'll still find kind of like a boutique design agency that hasn't gone into a corporate level themselves. So hasn't got 20 employees that they need to feed. In that case, you'll be looking at probably around, for a typical 5 informational website, between about $2,500 and $5,000, maybe a little bit more, depending on the quality of the agency. If you're looking at an e-commerce, these will typically start for a legitimate web design company, will start at around $5,000 on the cheap end, but will be realistically maybe about the $10,000 mark. Once you get into the big agencies, which have the employees, which have internal SEO people in an office sitting there, they're paying rent and all of that, your results won't scale normally to the price of the outcome. So our experience with this is you might pay $25,000 for a 5-page website, but it won't be 5 times as good as a $5,000 website from a smaller agency. The benefit that you do have with those bigger companies is they will have normally a very specific person for a specific task, and they will be experts on those areas, and they'll all be in-house. So if you want to go and visit them, you want to sit down and walk through with everyone in an office, then you can do that with these types of agencies. Anyway, long answer for a short question. How long does it take to get my website live? This is also how long is a piece of string. If you're getting a 1-page website templated by a company that does this all the time, you can get it in as little as 7 days. We do 1-page landing pages and we can typically get them out within 10 days. The important thing to know that the time it takes to get a website designed and developed is normally more contingent on you being prepared with your content than it is on the designer's ability to do the work. So if we have all the information, we have all the design guidelines, all of that, even a 5-page website could take 7 days to turn around the first draft. On the upper end of that, if you're working on a huge e-commerce site, it could take up to 12 months. If you're working on a complicated functionality site, these can range between 3 to 6 months. It just depends on what you're looking for. Obviously, the simpler, the quicker you'll get it, and depending on what type of agency you work with. What platform should I build my website on? This depends. If the question is if you're building it yourself, then I would suggest, if you've got 0 experience, you've never built a website, you've never designed a website before, then use something like Wix. Yeah, I'd say Wix is a really good option at the moment. They have a lot of templates that you can just tweak to what you need. If you're looking for e-commerce and you've never done it before, then Shopify would definitely recommend. If you have a little bit of experience, then or you're tech savvy or you're design orientated, then I really like to use WordPress just because of the customization ability of it. So I'd use WordPress for that. There is Webflow as well. I don't use it that often. I prefer to use WordPress. In terms of other e-commerce platforms, the only other one that I would really recommend is WooCommerce, or if there's something particular you like when you research, there is also BigCommerce. 99 times out of 100, stick with Shopify for e-commerce and Wix for normal websites, like an informational website, or WordPress if you've got a little bit of tech background. Will my website show up on Google? This is a big question because this comes into SEO. The typical answer, if you build your website yourself or you don't have an SEO campaign going that you're paying someone for, then normally not within the first 6 months, at least on the first 10 pages. If you're in a big area, say you're a painter in Sydney and you're targeting all of Sydney, then probably not for 2 years. It may never show up on the first page because there's big painters out there that are paying to get on that first page. If you're in a smaller town of like 5,000 people and you've got a painting business, then yeah, you might show up within 6 months on the first page, but the likelihood that you'll get to number one without doing any search engine optimization work is almost non-existent these days. Can I easily update my website myself? Most platforms have a pretty robust online community, so if you do get stuck updating it yourself, then go onto them. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, get your website designer, the person who built it for you, to update it. The other side of this is what we offer is tutorial videos on how to update certain things. So normally you're updating in text, images, maybe that's probably about it, maybe some colors sometimes. We'll actually provide a video tutorial on how to do that, and maybe your website designer does too. The next question is, what makes a website professional and trustworthy? I would break this down into two parts. The first part is what I consider the most important thing on a website is social proof. And what social proof is: reviews, testimonies, videos, anything that shows that you've done the work before and people were happy with it, or you've sold the product before and the people were happy with the product. I like to put this up the top, right in everyone's face, and show it often because this gets rid of a lot of people's anxiety about purchasing online or getting in touch online if they can see that people were happy with whatever it was before and those people are like them. So the best type of review is a video review from someone. The second best is if you've got like Google reviews and you put the Google symbol, the name of the person reviewing it, the star rating, and their comment. If you can do that, then you're well on the way to having a trustworthy website. The second part of this is having a well-designed website that functions correctly. It doesn't have to be like ultra designed, but if it doesn't work and the spacing's all weird, like this between these sections is 100 pixels and between these sections is 50 pixels, that just shows up and doesn't look good, and it just gives people the vibe that it's a little bit amateurish. Just make sure it's neat and clean and you've got a lot of social proof and you'll be fine. How do I make sure my website brings in leads or sales? The best way to make sure it brings in leads and sales is to tell people about it and drive traffic to it. So if you've got a website and it's got social proof and it looks okay, then you need to get people to go to it in order to get sales. And if you don't have people going to it, then you don't have any data, so you can't make any decisions on how to get more people to purchase from you. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure people are going to it. And then once you've got that, you can then work out from there how to get more leads and sales. Will my website be mobile friendly and fast? This is a question for your website designer. Most designing platforms now have inbuilt mobile optimization. The important thing is that you're utilizing it. So if you're building it yourself, then you might need to double check that you are doing it correctly. The fast aspect of it, what I'd recommend you do is for whatever platform you're using for your website, look up it's called caching, caching, and that allows the browser of the user to save your website so that it loads faster. And that's what I would recommend installing in order to have the fastest website possible. How do I protect my website from hackers or downtime? Hackers, more important when you're storing customer data on your website. So if you're storing credit card information, then you need to have expert level cybersecurity on your website. And this is not something that as a layperson, I would recommend you doing yourself. In fact, I would never recommend you store credit card information on your website. I'd always put it through a third-party app like Stripe or PayPal for payment accepting. If you're worried about people getting into the back end and changing things, then a couple of things that you should have is an SSL certificate. Most modern websites come with it if you're buying your hosting and your domain from a reputable source. The second aspect of this is you should back up your website. Our hosting will do it multiple times a day, multiple times a week, and multiple times a month so that you've got a history of your website. So if a hacker does come in and then put a lock on it so that you can't get into the back end, you can just revert back to an earlier date and you're not going to lose that much information. But making sure your passwords are up to date, making sure you have a cybersecurity software on there, two-factor authentication, those sorts of things are the things that you want to do. Downtime is a little bit different and will depend on your host. Again, if you're using Shopify or Venture IP or BigCommerce, any of the big hosting providers, nowadays they have a 99% uptime, if not 99.9. Just go with someone who's reputable and you'll be fine. What's the ongoing costs and maintenance that I'll need to budget for? So every single website, whether it's stated explicitly or not, will need a domain and will need hosting. Domains will sit around that $24 a year base cost. If you're going through an agency, it can be up to $100 a year for them to hold that on their books. Hosting, on the other hand, can vary from literally $9 a month up to $10,000 a month. For a typical website, you're going to be looking at around maybe $400 a year to host it. If you're looking for a website that's got tens of thousands of products, is very intensive on processing and functions on your website, then you might need to up it and you might need to go with a private server, which will then cost you maybe $400 a month. But for the vast majority of people, you're looking at about $400 a year for that. And then if you're looking at your domain, maybe $500 a year all in costs. Without any actual website maintenance going on, that's just your fixed price. So I hope this has answered the questions that you guys had coming to the video. If you've liked it, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.